Hello and welcome to the third segment of the 2021 KCA Art Showcase. KCA is posting 4 segments every Thursday at 7 p.m. during the month of May. Each segment will feature performances from our theater community. In addition to showcasing some of what KCA has to offer, these segments will also be a fundraiser to help put the new BST designs into motion. Thanks to Angle Homes and the Angle family, all donations during the fundraiser period will be doubled, up to $100,000. To make a donation, click on the Donate Now button on your screen, or go to our website at kingmanarts.org. Some of our generous local sponsors and artists have put together silent auction items as well for you to bid on. To make your bid or to learn more about the items up for auction, please visit us at arthub.com. The Art Hub is open Tuesday through Thursdays, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Fridays and Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can also learn more on our website at bealestreettheater.com. Tonight's segment will feature the BST Community Theater Program. We're going to take you back through some of our past performances with clips and featurettes.
Hello, I'm Christina Mickelson. I'm the Executive Director of Kingman Center for the Arts and also the Executive Producer of the Beale Street Theater Production Program. And I'm here with Matt Hecht, who is our Vice Chair of our board and also acts as our Artistic Director for the Beale Street Theater. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about the history of the Beale Street Theater live theater production program and where it's gone to and where it's going and where we hope to take it in the future. So when we first, back in 2016, is when we first started all of these plans. And we looked around.
Plan was a very loose term back then, though. Plan was, hey, can we do any theater? Is there enough people out there that care and want to be a part of this?
So one of the first steps that's always recommended when you're looking to bring a new program into a city is to do a feasibility study. And as we researched that, all of the numbers that came in were, well, you have to hire this consultant, it's going to cost you about $60,000, and we thought that's not going to happen. So we decided to do our own version of the feasibility study, which is just to create live theater and see if anyone comes to watch, right? So our first attempts at this were a bit rough around the edges, and Matt can attest to that.
Yeah, it was so fun. So the feasibility study, as it were, right, was basically just a handful of the initial founders. They came together and said, hey, can we do some theater? Is there enough people that are going to come out and participate? Are there enough people that are going to come watch it? Let's just see what happens. So I remember we had auditions for the first time, and my wife actually saw it on Facebook for the first time and said, Matt, they have auditions for the theater. Like, I didn't even think we had community theater in town. And so we had been in town for 10 years at this point, and there had been no live theater to speak of. And I said, well, sure, when is it? When are auditions? She's like, in a half an hour. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went there right after work, and I came up and I said, hey, I apologize, I am not prepared. I just saw this. Is there any way I can kind of do some sort of reading or something? She said, yeah, sure, yeah. So she gave me this reading. I remember it was some police detective thing where he talks about how his partner had killed his wife, and it was this very gut-wrenching thing. So I did it and turned back, and the two Christinas, right? So it was Christina Joyner and Christina Mickelson at the time, choreographer. I turned back, and they're both just like, tell me more. And so we just kind of had a conversation. I grew up in the theater as a kid and studied theater in college and kind of shared with them everything I'd done before. And they just kind of look at me and go, would you direct our show? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. What's the show? And they said, we don't know yet. We didn't know who was going to come out, but we want you involved. And I was like, absolutely, I'm excited. And so that's kind of how the first one started. And that whole first event in the park, it was great. We had so many people come out. What did we end up having? 4 different types of shows. We had a little kid, a medium kid, a big kid, and then the adult show, which I directed, which was called Crazy Town.
Golly, Miss Molly! Well put, Merv. Let's watch the replay and see what the officials are looking at. Right away, we have the slow rise up, and then we move right into the dance move sequence. Merv, I did not notice this the first time around, but Baxter is definitely doing the can-can.
Oh my!
That could cost him. And is Felton doing the Cabbage Patch? Talk about old school.
Michael Felton is living in the past.
No question about it, Merv. Now let's take a closer look at the man hug. Right away, we see Felton is he crying? Those are definitely tears. Extremely unmanly. That will cost him. And what is Baxter doing with his phone?
Donald Baxter, watching a video of cats playing with yarn.
This is uglier than I thought, Merv. Let's hope at least the chest bump is clean. Wait, we can't tell right yet. Oh man, it does. No. I don't even think they touched. It doesn't look like they touched.
No.
Actually, we still have a handful of our original actors that were in that show are still participating regularly in the theater, as well as some that have moved on, but we still try to stay in touch with. But yeah, it was great to see. One of the things that we saw is that as far as the feasibility study, Kingman had been so starved for the arts that when somebody just threw this idea up on the wall, people came out of the woodworks every which way that says, hey, I want to do this, I want to be involved with it, I want to help in this way, because they just felt that starvation, that need for the arts. And so it was really magical how that first show came together. And we were talking earlier, I mean, we were a ragtag crew. We didn't know what we were doing. Somebody said, hey, I can do sound. We're like, great, do you have sound? And like, probably, okay. And then so we pieced this stuff together, and
we did, and it was a lot of learning as we went along. But as you say, the community came out and supported. And actually, before that first play in the park, we had a fundraiser over at the old Elks Lodge, and that was even before you entered into the picture. And it was just a celebration of art, and we had visual art set up from artists in town, and we had about 3 hours of live performance with included dance and music and all kinds of live arts, performing arts stuff. And we had a great turnout, and that again was just proof that this was needed in Kingman, and we needed to move forward with it. So over the years we've gotten better at the production side of things. We've learned a lot. One of our first big productions was Peter Pan.
Lion! Who's the doggiest? Lion! Who's the slimiest? Lion! Who's the creepiest creep in the world? Captain Hook! Captain Hook! It was insensible, reprehensible. His behavior is just indefensible.
I mean, Peter Pan was so fun for me. So I wanted to find a show where that would get the whole family involved, because I've got 2 little girls, and my wife loves to be involved with theater, and I know a lot of, if we're going to ask our volunteers to dedicate a lot of their time, we want to make sure that the whole family can be involved. We don't want to steal people away from their family time. And so I said, what is a great show that we can involve everyone? And immediately we came to Peter Pan. We've got kids, we've got pirates, we've got alligators. I mean, it was great. Lost Boys, and so that was really a great show that we get. I mean, there was literally like 10 full families that were in the show. I remember Gretchen and Chrissy were doing the costumes in the back. We had father-daughter duos. We had father-son duos as pirates, and we had the Lost Boys. We had twins, actual twins playing the twins as the Lost Boys. We had bows and arrows. We had a full-size alligator pirate ships. It was way fun. But the coolest thing about this was I told Christina, I said, well, Christina, if we're gonna do Peter Pan has to fly. So like, these are the requirements. Like, we need to have Peter Pan fly. I was like, well, we have some kind of backup options, but I really want him to fly. And so Christina Joyner at the time had a good relationship with Flying by Foy, which is, if you're not familiar, it's the company based out of Las Vegas that supports all of the flying stuff for Cirque du Soleil shows. So like, when you see these people just bounding 100 feet up in the air and flying down, they set up all the rigging. So we actually hired them. We had to twist the arm of the board. I wasn't on the board yet. to talk them into hiring Flying by Foy to come out here, and they set up the rails, they showed us the aerial choreography, and in the end, Peter Pan flew right through the great big window, and it was magical. I mean, honestly, magical.
Flying! Flying! Flying!
And there was debate because that cost a fair amount of money. Right?
Sure.
This was our first big musical. But in the end, it came down to we'd like to have at least one show-stopping element to these big productions. And that was it for Peter Pan, and it proved to do well and be worth spending the money on.
And I was going to say, that really proved to ourselves and the community that hey, we can throw on a pretty darn good show. And I mean, I always love to hear when the audience members leave and they'll say, gosh, I don't have to go into Las Vegas to get good theater anymore. And I always say, you know, we compete with all the professional theaters in a 100-mile radius of Kingman. So I think we do quite good on the quality aspect of our productions.
Definitely with the talent that's in Kingman, we do compete very well. One of the aspects that we would like to do better at, which is the whole purpose of these fundraisers, is to get our own venue.
Sure.
Where we can control the quality of the special effects that go along with these productions. So lighting, sound, all kinds of theater effects that we can throw into the venue itself and bring our productions up to a new level of professionalism for Kingman.
Yeah, so we've had all sorts of challenges finding rehearsal spaces and venues to perform. But again, the city has come out and they have supported a lot of this. So we've seen these venues become available and whatnot. But in reality, you're right. It's probably a 14-hour day to set up and break down in a day in a show when we have these big ones on those big Saturdays, because we have to break everything down. We don't have a home, right? We don't have a rehearsal space. We don't have that. So everything's got to be carted out there. Everything's got to be clean and carted away every day because we don't have that space. So that will be amazing once we get into the theater, when we have our own place, when we can get those real great effects and put them in place, and then run these shows for more than just a couple weekends. Give the whole town an opportunity. You know, I often hear, you know, oh, I didn't even know that this show was going on, and yet, there's only 2 weekends of it. Oh, I was out of town, blah, blah, blah. We'd love to be able to run these shows longer to give opportunities.
Yes, multiple times. So let's talk about a couple of other of our shows. One of the most loved shows that we hear all the time is Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. And that one was directed by Crystal Dooley.
Love Crystal Dooley.
Their family has been involved in the theater for a long time, but unfortunately they've had to move out of the area, like so many others, which is so sad. But she brought a lot of great talent to us and a lot of knowledge and experience that is invaluable and had taught me and Matt both so much about putting on live theater productions. But Matt was one of the brothers in Seven Brides, and do you want to talk a little bit about that experience?
It was such a fun show. So it was about, seven brothers finding seven brides, and so it was this very masculine show. It's really the manliest Broadway show that had ever been written, and that's really a good way to talk guys into volunteering for Broadway musicals. And so it was fun. So we each had a girl, right? And so our rehearsal times, we were throwing girls around and fighting, and it was so much fun. And I remember there's this one bit where we all come on stage in our pajamas as we're supposed to be in bed at the time, and we're listening to some over the closed door. And as the show went on, it started to get sillier and sillier, and so the guys were coming on like barely having their big old overall pajamas on, and we had at one point come to the dinner table with just our towels wrapped around, and poor Zach couldn't find his blanket, and so one of the stagehands throws a washcloth at him. So he comes out with this washcloth held up, and he patters across stage and sits down in his chair at breakfast and puts his little washcloth over his chest as he eats his breakfast. And so that was a fun moment. But all of them, you know, the fighting and...
we had some great choreographers, Julian Steed and Andy Alstad.
That's
did a great job choreographing that one. As we talked about including families, so the Cornelson families, and also another family that's done a lot of stuff with us and has moved out of the area.
Yeah.
But we were able to Crystal cast both Jeff and April, who are
That's right.
the parents of this family, opposite each other as brother and bride. And so she was excited that they could.
Right, so at the very end, there's this big dip, and where we kiss all the brides, but that was a little risky. We did a kind of a stage kiss, a hat kiss behind there, and but of course, this married couple, Jeff throws the hat up and just gives her a big old sloppy wet one on stage, and it was.
That was fun, and I remember I think it was the last show, April actually sprained her ankle pretty severely. Yeah. And she finished out the show and was laid out on the steps with her husband, putting ice on her ankle, and made it through.
There's several stories like that where the show must go on, and there's actors that are just laid out at the end of this. I remember Sydney had an incident one time, and she was a trooper. She finished the show. It seems like every show there's some exciting happenstance.
There's plenty of drama in the drama. Another one that we had experience with that you directed was Bye Birdie.
Yes.
And that one was also a lot of fun. I was also in the pit orchestra for that.
Yeah.
Great music.
Yeah, and actually I want to talk just a little bit about the music. So that's really what made something so magical, right? Is that we weren't playing one to a track. We actually had a 30-piece orchestra down in the pit and a conductor, and it was amazing. And you know, there's one thing you feel the music, and you are a part of it when you have that orchestra there. And the great thing is we actually got spoiled is we got to work with a conductor, and so we could adjust the music. So I said, I want you to vamp until we get to this next spot or whatever. And CDs, you can't do that. I mean, that CD will blow right past you if you mess up a line. So, but the music has been just phenomenal, and kudos to Christina. She's done a fantastic job at organizing it and putting it together, and it just adds so much. I mean, like I said, it on a quality standpoint, we compete with.
It's a rare thing to find live orchestras at live theater anymore. It's a lot to put it on, but we have some great musicians in the area who love to come out for the shows, and we are looking forward to our next big production. Everyone's chomping at the bit to get back on stage again. So.
Yeah.
So looking forward, as we discussed, our next plans are to continue to do live theater in Kingman as we can, and
we are doing live theater in Kingman.
Yes.
And so even through some of the COVID challenges, we've gotten creative with doing some of the shows out on the streets in open air venues to make people feel safer and welcome to come out. But it seems like that we might be able to get to a point where we're back in some of the stages.
Yeah, and so we do have coming up in the next couple of weekends a dinner theater show.
Yes.
You can check that out on BealeStreetTheater.com. We've moved that into some of our restaurant venues, and are looking forward to that experience because it can cater to some smaller smaller audiences,
Yeah.
but those stage productions are magical, and we really miss being out on the stage. And so having our own venue, and we'll get to do that all the time, as we said, and have more control over the scheduling of that. We didn't really talk about it, but Seven Brides, we put so much into that, and we were only able to do it one weekend because of scheduling conflicts with the venues and the actors and all of that stuff. So it was heartbreaking, I think, for a lot of people when they realized, I want to come see this again, but it's just gone once we do that last show.
That's what makes it so magical, right?
It's all out of there.
You can't just
set's gone and everything.
hit Amazon and bring it right back up, right? It's live.
Yeah, which it creates such great memories and for everyone involved.
And so, it is with great pride and prejudice, as well as with all the usual pomp and circumstance, that we welcome you to our fair city and present to you this solid gold 14-karat key so generously donated by the men down at Sweet Apple Brass Works. And so as I present to you this key, Conrad Birdie. What just happened? All I said was Conrad Birdie. Girls, if you don't shut your big yappers, I won't be able to finish the speech.
Who cares about your speech? We were here for Conrad. Oh, speak to us. Oh, beautiful one. Tell us how you make that glorious sound. But even now, an anticipation of it has reduced me to nothing more but a snarling, raging, panting jungle beast. Rawr.
You gotta be sincere.
All right.
You gotta be sincere.
Mr. Birdie, what are you doing?
You gotta feel it here. Cause if you feel it here, well then you're gonna breathe. Honestly, sincere.
We've got a lot to do. Is it one love or two? For you are guest. She's our guest. Be our guest. Be our guest. Be our
Under the sea, under the sea. Oh, when the starting begin to be wings, music to me. What do they got that understand? We got a hot crustacean band. We said so smelly, no how to win. We dance like fire under the water. Yeah, we is like you're down in the muck, you're under the sea. Yeah, 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 yeah. Waving at me.
What do you see?
I see
a dragon charging at an armored knight. It's hot pizza, leaning slightly to the right.
All is not well, Horatio. Would the night were come.
My lord,
Oh,
it is
it's
strange.
The
And the
air-
night is here.
By trudely, there are angels and ministers of grace defend us.
Mark
Something
me.
is rotten in the state of Denmark.
Mark me. This is strange, my lord. Mark
Speak, I'm bound to hear.
So art thou to revenge when thou shalt hear? If ever thou didst thy dear father love, revenge is foul and unnatural murder.
Murder?
Murder. The serpent.
My turn. A bullseye!
stole that's embarrassing. Give me 2. Why doesn't he fix the air conditioner? It's 98 degrees in here and it sits over there sweating like everyone else. I'm out.
Who goes to Florida in July?
It's the off season. You get best room for 1/10 the price and no big crowds. No cars.
Some vacation. 6 cheap people in an empty hotel.
Dealer takes 4? You think Felix is sick? He's never been late like this before.
Yeah, it's the same garbage from last week's game. I'm beginning to recognize things.
I'm out.
2 kings.
Straight.
You think Felix is still at work? Locked into John again? One time he was locked into John overnight. He wrote out his entire will on half a roll of toilet paper. What a nut.
Terrific, terrific, boys. Good work.
Where's the surprise, Pop? What'd you get us, Pop?
It's in the backseat of the car.
Boy, what is it, Dad?
Never mind. I just wanted to get you something.
What is it, Hap? It's a punching bag! Oh, Pop.
It's got Gene Tuddy's signature on it. It's good for the timing.
I'm losing weight, Pop.
Yeah, well, jumping rope is good too, Hap.
See, I've been practicing my passing, Pop.
Yeah.
Willie, aren't you supposed to be in Boston?
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Willie, what's going on? What happened?
What do you mean by
You
that?
didn't crack again, did you?
Oh, no, nothing like that.
Jeez, don't scare me like that now, man. Please, sit down. What's going on?
Howard, I need to ask you for a favor. I've come to the decision that I really don't want to travel on the road anymore.
Not travel? Well, what would you do?
Well, I thought I'd work in the city here.
Why don't we go and sample just one kiss? Gotta shout! Gotta keep it free. Didn't make plans to sleep with you, cuddled up by your ear. I wanted to smell perfume and not smell beer. We gotta make it through the winter, or we won't get all in the spring. We gotta make it through the winter. Millie says we won't get a doggone. Millie says we won't get a doggone. Millie says we won't get a doggone thing.
Never want to stay, still we belong in memories, or in the stories that made us whole. Only one place is home, doesn't matter where you choose to roam. Home will let you go, but you will always know it's waiting there to share another day, another year. Doesn't matter if it's far or near. There's one single track, take it while you can. Time to travel back where it all began. Why don't we
Okay, so how do you participate in a Beale Street Theater show? So we have auditions, and we usually throw those out on Facebook, our social media pages, and on our website, and advertise when we're having open auditions. We love to have new talent come out. We have a really high turnover rate in the community of our actors and participants, which is unfortunate, but it also gives a lot of opportunity for us to see a wide variety of people come through. Audition, the format of that kind of depends on what show we're casting. If it's a huge cast, sometimes we'll do a group audition format that will help us whittle things down a bit.
Yeah, we've kind of refined our audition process over the years, and we've adopted some of the stylings of the Disney Musicals in Schools audition process, which is much more open, much more free flow. You know, one of the things that I get a lot of questions about is, well, what does an audition look like? What does it feel like? I'm kind of, apprehensive. I don't want to go up there if I don't know what I'm doing. I'll say 2 things. One, we just want to see you. We just want you to come out. Do not be afraid. Come on out there. If you don't have anything prepared, that's fine. We'll have something that you can read through. And really, you just want to be yourself. I actually have I think it's a 5-part series on how to prepare and perform a monologue for auditions, and I actually break down all the things of what kind of directors are looking for, and what to be aware of, and what to not worry about.
Where to find a monologue, and that's on our YouTube channel, Beale Street Theater YouTube channel.
Yeah. But the biggest thing is don't be afraid. Come on out. I mean, we really just want you to be yourself, and I'll tell you, as a director, we know when you walk in the door, we know if you know, we know that you have talent.
And one of the hardest things, we are sometimes limited by the cast size of the production or the age range we're looking for. And so sometimes we see people come out for auditions and they do a great job, but we just don't have a spot for them in that play. And it's heartbreaking when you come to the next play and you think, oh, that person would have been great in this, but they haven't come out again for auditions.
Absolutely, just because you don't get casted doesn't mean that you're not going to be great for the next show. So don't be discouraged by that.
Yeah, come out and celebrate live theater. Come if you've ever wanted to be in a play. Come see us.
And we encourage whole families to come out. I mean, parents, children, whenever.
To involve everyone that wants to be involved in some capacity on the play, so that you can spend time together.
Yeah. So, just kind of in closing here, I just want to share with you some of the magic that's already happening. We've been working on this project for quite some time. The theater's moving. It doesn't look like much from the outside, but inside we are moving. We just met with the design consultant. We had a full walk around with them. We're almost done with the design drawings, and we had this walkthrough and about where the stage was going to be, where the pit was going to be, where the grand curtain's going to be, and it is coming together, folks. It is magical, and we are just so excited to share the vision of the theater and actually bring it to fruition, to have it be the gem of downtown Kingman.
Thank you for watching. If you would be willing to donate, you can do that at bealestreettheater.com, and keep track of all of our progress and all of our events there. Thanks.
Next, the KCA Executive Director, Christina Mickelson, will take us on a walkthrough of the current Beale Street Theater and present us with the newly finalized architectural designs for the theater's renovation.
Hello, my name is Christina Mickelson, and I'm the Executive Director of Kingman Center for the Arts, and I'm going to take you on a tour of the Beale Street Theater, and we're going to discuss some of the renovation plans that we have for the building. So we're starting outside at the front of the building. You can see we've got these awnings here, and the front side. We're going to be replacing these with a theater marquee, which will have digital signs so that we can advertise our shows, and in neon, the Beale Street Theater logo, which will be very exciting to see lit up. Some of the changes that are going to be made to the front of these areas here used to have windows under them, and so we're going to put those back into place and take down the boarded up areas. The door is going to remain in the same place, but of course be replaced with a new, more secure door. Somewhere in here there's going to be a ticket window where you can come and buy tickets to our theater shows in person. The rest of the building is basically going to be left mostly the way that it is. If you want to walk down to the side here, all of this is just going to be kept as is, but replaced with, as I said, more modern glass and secure windows and that. On this side down here, coming out near where the colorful door is going to be a exit that comes from the backstage area, and there will be a ramp that comes down off the sidewalk to keep it ADA compliant. So you'll see that addition as we come along. And then the windows that are boarded up here are also going to be replaced with new windows. So we plan on keeping the structure and architecture of the building intact as much as possible because we like the way that it fits into our historic downtown Kingman. So we'll go inside now and look at some more features. All right, we are inside the building. This is the lobby of the theater. We have some pretty big changes that are going to happen in here. The first is this staircase, which is narrow and scary and dark, is going to be torn out and moved to this side of the lobby, opposite of where it is now. The stairwell that we have plans to put in is going to be open with glass going up to the upstairs. In the original building, this whole ceiling was actually open and vaulted to the upstairs. We looked at the option of whether or not we wanted to keep what's here or open it up again, and we decided to compromise and open half of it up and leave half of it as it is so that we can use it for office space. So as the stairway comes up, there will be a balcony that you'll be able to see up to a vaulted ceiling with a nice chandelier coming down in this area over here. As I said, this wall here will be replaced with the glass windows as the original building had in it. So, unfortunately, we're not able to move these pillars, so those are going to be kept as well. The original theater has a concrete pad here where the projection room used to be. And if you're familiar with movie theaters from the era that this was built, which was 1948, the nitrous film they used to use to show movies back in the day was very flammable, so they needed to have concrete secured projection rooms to mitigate the fire hazard if those were to catch fire. So we have a concrete slab we have to work with, and so that's why we need to keep these pillars here. On the back wall here, the doors are going to remain where they are, but we'll be putting in some light control vestibules that will come out from each side of the wall with openings, so you'll be able to walk through a door here and then into the theater itself. And this will make it so that when you exit and enter, you're not letting a lot of light come in and spoiling the performance. This whole area here is going to be torn out with the staircase, and the wall will be moved back to that wall there. So all of this will be coming out and opening up the space a little bit more. Over here, where we've got the old fountain, that's all going to be torn out, and there will be a ticket counter, some office space in that corner right there. There's a slight ramping that's going to be left in place, and so we'll have some handrails coming up into the lobby itself from the entrance. All right, we are in the side building coming off of the lobby. There will be a ramp put in to allow our accessibility into this side of the room because the elevation is a fair bit lower than where the lobby is. This room we've used as storage, and you'll see that throughout the building. We do have a theater company that collects a lot of things. We will be moving a lot of this stuff out within the next few weeks and on as we get ready to start construction as soon as possible. The space, looking back this way, this area is all going to be filled with bathrooms, public restrooms. We tried to get as many in there as we could because no one likes to be stuck waiting in the bathroom at intermission and missing the show. Up here in this area where we have the open windows, this space is going to be a flex space for the building, and we'll be able to hold some private events. We're able to hold other fundraising events, maybe makes a retail shop at some point, and also we were hoping to use this as rehearsal space as well. Okay, so this area, as I say, will be bathrooms on this side. Some people have asked about the glass block that's on the theater. There's a lot of that, and that is original to the building. We will be cleaning that up and keeping it in place as you see it. There'll be a nice addition of light to this area. As we stated outside, this panel here that has been boarded up, this was an original storefront. We are putting that back into place. So we will have an exit here that we talked about, as well as windows that will show into the building. Coming further down here, this will be our backstage space. So we have a drop here in the floor, and this is probably where most of the most extensive renovations are going to take place. Because of the elevation changes, we are going to have to raise this floor. It'll be raised to the level of this existing floor, and then the ceiling, we've been informed from our structural engineer that several of the wooden trusses that are up above are in need of being replaced. So we opted, since we're going to have to tear a percentage of the ceiling out, we will be lifting that up as well in this area to give us some more ceiling height. So backstage space, there's several things that will happen back here. So we will have a performer's lounge area with bathrooms and dressing rooms, makeup counter, and then just a place to hang out while you're waiting to go on stage. So we've got that all laid out here. We were able to fit in a lot of amenities in a very small space, which was great. Starting from, where's my line? About here back is going to be the official backstage space, which is where we'll be exiting and from the stage and have all of our sets and props in the staging area for the shows that are going on. So there will be doors that close off this space to this space so that we can keep the sound down. All of this will be painted black with stage flooring that will continue in through to the stage area on that side of the building. So you'll notice that on this side we have another original storefront. We still have the boot, shoe, and saddle repair sign on the windows. And this is a lot of fun history, but this will have to be altered slightly to fit the functionality of the theater activities that are going to happen back here. On this back wall here, we will be punching through where you see that cinder block and a little bit bigger. We're going to have to put in a loading dock door, which is very important when you're bringing in sets and equipment for shows. You want to have plenty of room to be able to haul that stuff in and out. So that will be on this back door here. This wall here will be opened up even more, as big as we can get it, all the way over to this pillar, support pillar here. We'll have a very large opening so that we can move those sets and props on and off the stage without too much trouble. So we'll walk into here. And this is going to be our stage area. This is where there was an existing stage from the original movie theater. This pit here is actually a baptismal font from when this was used as a church, which was very interesting to see this built under the stage. We probably aren't going to do much with this other than build the stage on top of it, the new stage. So this is our main theater room, and some of you may notice this looks a little bit like the antique store that we bought it from, Boston Antiques, with all of our theater sets and props and costumes that are in here. We are, as I say, planning to move these on out soon so that we can get ready for our renovations. The stage area itself will go from the back wall all the way up to this first pillar line here. So it will be a fairly nice sized stage that we'll be able to get in here. One of the challenges we've had is there's an emergency exit going off this back wall. And for fire code, we need an exit somewhere in this area. Having it back there was going to be problematic for staging purposes, so we were able to acquire an easement from the property next door, and there will be an exit going out this wall so that we can close off this stage area. We will still have an exit going off the back of the stage for actors, but it won't need the accessibility for the audience since we're adding this one here, which makes it nice. But it does mean that from this pillar here, we will have stage on this side, but we will need a walkway going up to this exit. And so we have been working with a staging company out of New Jersey who's done some amazing work in theaters around the world, and we were very excited that we were able to get them involved on this project. And they came up with a lot of great innovations to make this space work, even with some of the challenges that we've come up against. So the stage will be coming out here, but the curtain itself will start on the other side of this exit. And we will be getting one of the Italian style curtains that lifts up instead of out. And so it will have the ruffles that go up into the ceiling. And speaking of the ceiling, that is one of the exciting additions to our renovations. Up in this area, there are the original curved rafters, wooden trusses and things from the ceiling. We are going to open all of that up so that you will be able to see those beams and rafters and trusses exposed. And we're hoping this will be a great, beautiful effect design-wise to the theater. Coming back, after the stage ends here, we're able to get about 300 seats into this space, which was a number we were trying to shoot for so that we could attract good performances and traveling entertainers and things that tend to judge whether or not they want to stop at a building by how many seats they can sell. In talking with the staging company, that 300 seats was about the mark where people tended to decide whether they would or wouldn't stop at a place. And so we are excited because we are on that corridor coming from Vegas to Phoenix where a lot of entertainers run, and we already have people contacting us and wanting to stop and perform at the Beale Street Theater. So we know that is going to be a great asset to us in being able to attract performances and things that can come into Kingman. One of the finishes that we're going to be doing in this room, we have several of these pillars. They are going to be faced in a wood paneling, and we are putting some LED strip lights down the sides to give on both sides of the pillars that will give us some nice lighting effects. We will be lining the walls with acoustic panels to help with sound acoustics and sound absorption. And so that's kind of the look in here. The colors we've opted to go with are a beautiful blue, a dark cobalt blue. The seats will be upholstered in that with a light wood finish. And we will have those on display next week in our live show that we'll be doing, and we'll be able to show you some of the finishes that have been selected for the building in person. The flooring in the theater will be a polished concrete. We're still looking at colors and finishes on that. And then down the aisles will be a run of carpet. And you'll be able to see that selection as well next week. Up here is going to be our production balcony. You can see where the window is. That's where the old projector room used to be, and that is where we will replace it, and it will be up in that area with an open window there in the center, and then on each side of that are going to be mechanical rooms for the equipment, for the stage lighting, the sound, and the projection system for the movies. All right, we are upstairs in the theater at the second floor. So if you remember from the tour of the lobby, this space here is where the concrete slab is. And there used to be just one staircase coming up to this slab. These other areas up here were added at a later time. This is the other side of the production balcony that we discussed, that you can see. Okay, and then up on this side of the upstairs, this is the place that was the vaulted ceilings. As I said, we're going to take half of this out and have it open to below, so that when you come up the stairs, the balcony will come along here, and this area here will be used as a flex space also, that we can hold some private events, board meetings, conferences, different things that we find the need for. So if you look over here, this area is going to be left intact and be turned into an office space. As we say, the stairs over there will be filled in, and all of this will be used as office space. We'll have a pocket bathroom up here as well. But we are excited with this staircase coming up from this side, we'll open up into a very nice balcony area for when we want to use that for some public access at times. We won't be able to get a lot of people up here at one time, but a few. If we come out here, you can see here, this is one of the original curved beams that is original to the building. We opted to do some demolition before we started in on the design plans, and the reason for that was that when you're planning renovations for a building, it's always nice to know what's in the walls before you start selecting where things are going to be, because there are surprises sometimes when we open things up. And one of those was that original staircase that you can see from the lobby that came up, and that was hidden behind one of the walls. So these are the original rafters we discussed that will be opened and exposed to the building, so that you'll be able to look up and view that beautiful architecture while you're waiting for a show to start. All right, we are on the roof of the building. This is a little walkway area that allows for us to have access to the original theater sign that you'll see up here. Plans are to have this sign renovated back to close to its original condition. We will replace all the bulbs and polish it up and repaint it. Where it says House of Sound, we're going to have some neon that says theater, and repaint the surfaces on this and then reinstall it so that we can keep that history for Kingman. Thank you for joining us for this tour of the Beale Street Theater. We appreciate all of the support that Kingman gives us in our project to bring art and culture into the community, and especially this beautiful piece of Kingman's history in downtown Beale Street. We currently have a matching grant going with the generosity of Angle Homes. They are willing to match all donations this year, dollar for dollar, up to $100,000 for us. This will be a huge chunk of money that will help us get started on our renovations of the building. So we encourage you to make donations if you are able to this year, so that we can get that match working to get our building working. And thank you so much for your time and for watching.
Thank you for joining us for the third of 4 segments for our KCA Arts Showcase. Please make a donation by clicking on the Donate Now button, or by stopping by the Art Hub to place a bid on one of our many silent auction prizes. The bidding will remain open until 6 p.m. on May 27th. This is our last call to make bids on the silent auction. Next Thursday, May 27th at 7 p.m., be sure to visit the KCA Facebook page for our 4th and final segment, where we will be broadcasting live. During the final segment, we will announce the silent auction winners, have live performances by local talent, and a live question and answer feature. You won't want to miss this live finale.